balloons, bazookas, boobies, bosoms, boulders, cans, hooters, knockers, melons, honkers, jugs, rack, tatas, tits, torpedoes, guns, bust, doorknobs, coconuts, and our favorite one, the girls. Welcome to the All About Breastfeeding show, where your host, Lori, highlights mothers just like yourself and goes beyond the surface questions and digs deep so they share not only their joys and happiness in their daily breastfeeding life, but also their pain and struggles and how they worked through them.
Episode number 146. Welcome to All About Breastfeeding, the place where the girls hang out. I am Lori Jill Eisenstadt, your host. I'm an IBCLC, which stands for International Board Certified Lactation Consultant, and I help moms with breastfeeding. All you need to do is go to allaboutbreastfeeding.biz, and you could learn the many special ways I can help you. For today's show, I am taking a break from the usual Friday show, which I lovingly call FAQ Days. Frequently asked questions. And I have a whole bank of Friday FAQs that give lots of great education and information. Today, though, I wanted to talk about the Breastfeeding Mothers group that I have that begins on Wednesday, February 15th, 2017. In my experience as a childbirth educator, a birth doula, and a lactation consultant, I work with so many moms who work so hard to plan for their pregnancy, their birth. They put all their ducks in a row. We have a birth plan, maybe you have a doula, your significant other is ready to support you through the birth. Perhaps you've made plans for your fourth trimester, those first 12 weeks at home after your baby's born. Many of us do. You know who is going to help you, you know who is going to feed you. And yet, when our time comes, and I include myself in this, we realize that we really fell short of preparing ourselves for having a newborn. If you're like me, you're thinking, well, what could the big deal be? That's what I thought when I was pregnant. I thought, well, I'm going to be more tired than usual, and I'm going to have to learn how to breastfeed. I really didn't think it would be so hard. Diapering babies, just getting used to putting a baby in a car seat, and just things like that. And I did say to myself there'd be a learning curve, but I also thought, how hard could that be? Here's the thing, though. If truth be told, most of us are absolutely blown away when we have our baby. This transition from life before baby to being a new mom, well, one mom the other day said to me, it was like I was shell-shocked. We talked about how there are so many things you just don't know. So many things people don't talk about ahead of time, which winds up leaving us unprepared for what is to come. This is why you want to prepare yourself, and this is why you want to join our Breastfeeding Mothers group, so that if you are in that place of transition, you have a safe place that you can go to talk about all your feelings and your experiences. Probably the most common sentiment I hear is moms say, I never realized how lonely new motherhood could be. I'm spending a lot of time inside my house, alone with the baby, many long hours with no one else to talk to. Almost every new mother I talk to will say that this is quite bittersweet, as there are so many things to be thankful for, and she could not feel more blessed. And yet, also, she's been transported into this world of motherhood, which is quite strange for her. If that's how you're feeling, you are not alone. But sometimes you think you are all alone. You look at all the other new moms, and they all seem to be doing okay. So why would you want to join this group? Why? So you have a group of built-in friends who you know you can count on. This will be a group that meets virtually. Yes, we will meet online in a forum where we can all see and talk to each other. We'll meet for 8 weeks, the same day, the same time, and with the same woman each week. Meeting with the same woman each week gives you a real advantage and an opportunity to really get to know one another in a way that you just cannot get to know one another when it's a different woman coming in and out of the group each week. This group is for pregnant moms who are planning on breastfeeding and for moms who are breastfeeding. There's so much to talk about when you become a new mom and are breastfeeding. You just have no idea. When you're pregnant, there's so much to know, and it's a wonderful opportunity to make some friends before you have your baby. This way, you have a group of mom friends whom you can count on for support when you have your baby. For the breastfeeding mom, you are going through so many new experiences, and they are all happening at once. Even the most introverted mom realizes how badly she needs to talk to other moms who are having similar feelings. I know I felt this way after the birth of my first baby. I had babysat a lot, and I mean a lot, for years. And I used to watch like 8 kids at a time while their moms played board and card games. I would babysit for families with 3 kids. I fed them dinner, played with them, put them to bed. So I figure I know how to take care of kids. I have this mommy thing made in the shade. Well, silly me. I did not account for a few crucial pieces of information. They were not my kids, and while I deeply cared for them, I was not emotionally attached to them in the same way that their parents were. I could have the busiest day ever, be extremely tired, but guess what? I went to go home and have a full night's sleep. I also was not breastfeeding. I did not have to make and go to doctor's appointments with them. I wasn't pregnant. I didn't just give birth, and I personally was not postpartum. The list of the pieces of information, the crucial pieces of information that I didn't realize, well, that just goes on and on. And you know, when I was a new mom, I was definitely sleep deprived. I was having problems with breastfeeding, and I didn't know any mothers in my neighborhood, and I felt like I had no one to talk to about all these feelings I was bottling up. And when I did see some people, it was just odd because in my mind, they looked put together. Their hair was done, they had makeup on, their nails were done, and everybody else seemed to have it together with a smile on their face, except for me. That's how it felt like anyway. I had a tough time postpartum, and I share some of my experiences in some of the earlier shows. In episode number 7, I talk specifically about the 4th trimester and new motherhood. Mothers groups were a lifesaver for me. Knowing that I was meeting with my mom friends once a week is what helped me keep my sanity in the early days of being a new mother and getting used to this new life. Over the years in my professional life, I've learned how vital mothers groups can be to your mental health, particularly if you're prone to mood swings and depression. You need to be with others. You need to talk about your life. You want to join a group so you can prevent loneliness and isolation. There are lots of things to love about this group, and I can't wait to meet you in there. A quick note, we talk about a lot of things related to mothering and a lot of things related to breastfeeding. However, if you are having major breastfeeding challenges, you really want to be seen by an IBCLC that can be there just for you, as this group is not the place to get specialized one-on-one help. So this online group for expectant and breastfeeding mothers will take place in a safe environment with a community of other breastfeeding and soon-to-be breastfeeding moms. The beauty of this group is you don't need to leave your home. You don't need to put your baby in a car seat. If you have another child, you don't need to find a babysitter to watch. And if your baby is sleeping when it's group time, you don't need to wake your baby up. And what happens is that sometimes when moms have groups outside the home, they wind up missing it because only those of us who are sleep deprived know that sometimes the last thing we want to do is wake up a sleeping baby. So we will choose to let our baby sleep and maybe us get some sleep rather than go to the group. So we miss the group. But you know what? You totally understand that. But for this group, you can come in your pajamas if you want to. And it's a built-in support system that you just know that you're going to be meeting with people once a week. And some of the groups that I attended, I know I made lifelong friends. So that's all the beauty of the group. I want to read to you something that I saw the other day. I saw it online, and I'm going to give credit to the Colorado Springs Mom blog. And it was an article by Kate F. Being Mindful of the Unseen, Below the Surface of Motherhood. And this is one of the reasons why I think breastfeeding groups and mothers groups are really cool, because you get to meet other moms and you get to find out intimate details of their life. And it really helps us loosen up the judgments we have about another mom and the life that she's leading when we know what things are really like for her. And you get to know her in a very different way. So it's a short article, and I'm going to read a few now. It finally happened. Months of tension finally spilled over right in the middle of Costco. And the further we walked through the store, the worse I felt, which at 35 weeks pregnant actually says a lot. By the time we checked out and picked up our pizza for dinner, I was on the verge of tears. And that's when I saw her, a fellow mom smiling at me. Her son was toddling around the carts and tables. She was watching my son happily munching pizza, sitting quite calmly on the bench like an old pizza pro. And she tried to start a conversation with me. How old is he? He's eating so well. How did you get him to sit so still while eating? I was barely functioning at that point. My husband knows me well enough to discern that if I opened my mouth for anything other than food, the dam would break and all would be lost. He answered her questions with a friendly tone as she packed up her son and moved on. And suddenly I realized she had no idea that he and I were just having a massive fight. She caught a glimpse of a toddler boy a few months older than her own, happily eating pizza with minimal fuss and mess, and she saw hope. But she had an idea. No idea of the hurt rolling in my heart. She had no idea of the tears just below my surface, of the frustration in my marriage or home. She had no idea how often I fight my son just to put on a pair of pants. Every day, people, every single day. That mom, she had no idea that my son is at the point where he notices my tears, that his sweet empathy is both a balm for my soul and a source of anguish as I wonder how he interprets my overwrought emotions. She had no idea how often I sit with my reactions, measuring out how much of it is normal hormones and how much of it could be a return to depression and anxiety. So often, we as moms only catch a glimpse of someone's daily life. It's an incomplete picture at best, and yet we base so much off of it. We pass judgment on ourselves and others when we are literally only seeing the tip of these mama icebergs. I, for one, am going to take something from this experience. I want to be more mindful of these misconceptions. It's far too easy as I get closer to the birth of my second child to look around at other moms and think they have it all figured out. And I, by contrast, never will. But that mama looking all put together, she may have put on her makeup in the car while her kids screamed in the background. That other mama may be mired in guilt over something she said in frustration to her daughter that morning while she tried to get out her door. I'm going to remember the iceberg with so much floating below the surface, beyond what I could see, prone to so many different currents beyond my limited comprehension. In the throes of mothering little ones and feeling the strain of these transitions in my marriage, it's simply the best I can do. Be mindful of what I cannot see and not judge what I do. This story really depicts one of the really important reasons I love facilitating mothers groups, and that's my role. My role is to facilitate the group. If you ladies ever run out of anything to say, I have a pocket full of topics we could talk about, but I find I typically don't need to do that. If you go down a path where one of you is giving some inaccurate information related to breastfeeding, I'm going to pipe in and make some corrections there. But by and large, I'm helping to move the conversation. And I think what I love, I know what I love so much about breastfeeding groups or mothers groups is that overall, it helps all of us reduce the judgments of other mothers. And I think that's a hazard that we tend to have, certainly before we're pregnant, when we get pregnant, we sometimes start to see the light. And when we have our own baby, we start to realize that some of those things we may have judged another mother too harshly on, well, we start to look at things a little differently. I hope that I've explained to you about what the Mothers Group is about. We're going to talk about breastfeeding and mothering, and I really hope you join us. Just go to allaboutbreastfeeding.biz/support. There you will find a registration page, the fees, the dates, any information you need to have. If there's anything that I have not answered on that page, then you can send me an email, aabreastfeeding@hotmail.com. You do not want to procrastinate on this. We have a small group of women, and the next group doesn't get together until, I don't have the exact date, but sometime in May. So I hope to see you in the group. Go to allaboutbreastfeeding.biz/support and register for the Mothers Group. Until next week, when I have a great interview. And until then, bye-bye.